A black lawyer is humiliated inside a courtroom when a racist cop kicks his chair and accuses him of not belonging. The truth comes out in front of the judge, and the officer learns too late who he was dealing with. This powerful story exposes bias where justice should be strongest. Samuel Price was 45 years old. He was a defense attorney known for his sharp arguments and steady composure. He had graduated top of his class from Yale Law School. He had won major cases across the state. Judges respected him. Clients trusted him. On a Thursday morning, Samuel walked into the county courthouse. He wore a navy blue suit and carried his worn leather briefcase. Inside were files for his client, a young man facing wrongful charges. The courtroom buzzed with chatter. Families whispered in the gallery. Lawyers shuffled papers. The judge's bench sat high, waiting for order. Samuel greeted his client, then sat at the defense table. He organized his notes. He prepared his arguments. But as he adjusted his chair, an officer stationed inside the courtroom began staring at him. Officer Dalton, a man with a reputation for arrogance. Dalton's eyes narrowed. He leaned toward Samuel. "You don't belong at that table," he muttered. Samuel looked up confused. "Excuse me?" "That seat's for lawyers," Dalton said coldly. Samuel raised an eyebrow. "I am the lawyer." Dalton scoffed. "Sure you are." The judge had not yet entered. The courtroom was not in full session. Dalton walked closer, looming over Samuel. "You think you're smart? Wearing a suit, carrying a briefcase? Get up." Samuel stayed calm. "Officer, you are mistaken. I am here in my professional capacity." He slid his bar ID across the table. "Samuel Price, licensed attorney." Dalton did not look. He sneered. "I said get up." The gallery went quiet. People sensed tension building. Samuel kept a composure. "I will not be intimidated in my workplace. I have a duty to my client." Dalton's jaw tightened. In a flash of rage, he kicked the leg of Samuel's chair. The impact jolted Samuel sideways. His papers scattered. Gasps erupted across the courtroom. Samuel steadied himself, anger flaring. "You assaulted me," Samuel said sharply. "In a courtroom, no less." Dalton crossed his arms. "Consider a warning." Phones lifted discreetly. The public began recording. Moments later, the bailiff announced, "All rise." The judge entered. Everyone stood. Samuel rose too, but his eyes never left Dalton. His jaw was set like stone. When everyone sat, Samuel immediately spoke. "Your Honor, before we begin, I must address misconduct that occurred in this courtroom." The judge looked up. "Explain." "An officer stationed here, Officer Dalton, physically kicked me while I was seated at counsel's table. He accused me of not belonging here despite my credentials. This was an act of disrespect not only toward me, but toward this court." The gallery buzzed. Dalton's face turned pale. The judge raised his brows. "Is this true, Officer Dalton?" Dalton stammered. He looked suspicious." The judge slammed the gavel. "Silence. You kicked an attorney in my courtroom while he was preparing to represent his client." "Yes, Your Honor, and I have proof," Samuel said. He pointed toward the gallery. Several recordings were made. Hands shot up with phones ready. The bailiff collected them. The footage played. It showed Dalton looming, arguing, and kicking Samuel's chair. The courtroom went still. The judge turned to Samuel. "Mr. Price, your credentials, please." Samuel stood tall. He handed over his bar ID and resume of experience. The judge read aloud. "Graduate of Yale Law School. 20 years in practice. Multiple cases before the appellate court. A respected member of the bar." He glared at Dalton. "And you dared accuse this man of not belonging here? You dared assault him?" Dalton swallowed hard. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Samuel spoke firmly, his voice steady. "This was not about suspicion. This was about bias. My qualifications were ignored the moment he looked at me, and he chose force over respect." Nods filled the gallery. Whispers spread. The judge's voice boomed. "Officer Dalton, you have embarrassed this court. You have disgraced your badge. You will be removed immediately." Gasps filled the room as deputies escorted Dalton out. The video left the courthouse and hit the internet that same afternoon. Clips spread across social media with captions like, asterisk, cop kicks lawyer in courtroom, asterisk, attorney humiliated in front of judge, asterisk, bias on full display in the court of law. News anchors debated the incident. Legal experts called it unprecedented. Civil rights advocates said it was proof of systemic disrespect toward black professionals. Samuel gave a press conference outside the courthouse. Cameras flashed. I was treated as an intruder in the very space where I served justice. I was kicked like I did not belong. But I do belong, and so do countless others who are judged before they are heard. His words struck deep. Veteran lawyers supported him. Judges issued statements. Community groups rallied around him. Dalton was suspended and later stripped of courtroom duty. His reputation collapsed. But Samuel's story reached far beyond one officer. It raised a question. If a black lawyer in a courtroom can be treated like a trespasser, how are ordinary citizens treated? The moral is clear. Respect is not optional. Justice is not real if bias can silence it. And authority without accountability is abuse. Samuel continued his work. He walked into courtrooms with his head high. He knew he had exposed a truth that could not be ignored, and the message remains. No lawyer, no citizen, no human being should be kicked aside in the very place where justice is meant to live. Subscribe to this channel for more detailed stories that reveal truth, expose injustice, and call for real change.